You've been in an argument at work, online, with someone you love. But what if I told you the greatest way to win is without fighting at all? The Stoics mastered this, and today, I'll show you how. Whether literally or figuratively, the ancient Stoics, who were masters of reason and emotional control, had amazing strategies for facing your enemy with poise and grace. In this video, you will learn 13 Stoic-inspired techniques to tackle conflict head-on, drawn from the wisdom of great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca. Believe me, these techniques may require more patience and effort than throwing punches, but the rewards, inner peace, long-lasting solutions, and possibly transformed relationships are well worth the effort. Are you ready to learn how to navigate conflict like a true Stoic? Remember that your greatest victory is not in external battles, but in mastering your mind and heart. 1. Delve into the depths of your adversary. The first Stoic tactic is to metaphorically describe the intensity of the situation, which makes it tempting to act quickly. However, proper comprehension requires putting aside judgment and looking above the apparent surface of the issue. As Epictetus reminds us when he says that it is not the event itself that troubles us, but our view of it. Imagine that you are at the edge of a furious river, the rapids foaming and churning with rage. A prudent Stoic would stop before diving in, his eyes focused on the invisible depths below rather than the churning surface, entering your opponent's mind. Here's how to begin this Stoicism analysis. The advantages of letting go include stepping back from the moment, taking a big breath, mentally stretching, and analyzing the situation with unbiased attention. Imagine yourself as a fly on the wall and watching the interaction objectively. This emotional distance allows for greater in-depth observation and more rational thinking instead of formulating rebuttals. Focus on understanding the motivations behind their remarks and actions by probing them with genuine questions. What motivates them, what concerns them, and what they desire, what personal experiences have shaped their perspective. Asking open-ended inquiries like what brought you to this point, or what are your underlying concerns, can yield crucial information. Look at it from their perspective. It's not about reaching a consensus, but about showing compassion. Try to understand their point of view in order to understand how they would interpret the situation, not to justify their actions. The values and beliefs that drive them. The purpose of this exercise is to foster empathy. Find potential areas of agreement and see the world from their perspective instead of agreeing with them. Search to find the hidden river and investigate the hidden conflicts that often arises from more serious concerns, such as unmet wishes, anxieties, or prior injuries. Think about seeing past the current dispute and identifying the underlying problems that are generating the conflict, such as what wants need to be met and which fears are coming to the surface. Remember that this is not an endorsement of their actions, but an attempt to understand them. By using this Stoic depth-seeking technique, you can find undiscovered common ground and possibly learn valuable things about yourself and your responsibilities. Your goal is to understand the layers of experience and perspective that influence your opponent's actions, much like a geologist studies the layers of rock to understand the terrain. Number 2. Pick your conflicts. The one's raging river will transform into a calmer stream with comprehension and possible resolution etched in its stones. 2. Choose your battles wisely. Effectively, disagreements are common in life, from parking lot fights to political disputes, but as the Stoics teach, only certain obstacles in life demand our whole attention. The second Stoic approach encourages us to carefully select our battles, as emotionally investing in every argument, regardless of its size, can exhaust us. Imagine yourself standing in front of a large battlefield, where every disagreement and point of contention has the potential to turn into a conflict. A wise Stoic would consider each piece of terrain carefully before entering the fray, asking whether the conflict is worthwhile and whether it will impact my health or other important aspects of my life. The following principles of Stoic philosophy will help you choose your battles. Take a moment to reflect on Seneca's insightful remarks. Delay is the best way to deal with rage. Remind yourself of the significance of halting before reacting without thinking. Take a moment to collect yourself, step back, and assess the situation. Generally speaking, it's normal for the heat of the moment to distort our judgment while we're making wise choices. Is the Epictetus in question still important, despite the challenges? Ask yourself this important question: is this debate having a real impact on your morals, well-being, or something important in your life, or is it just a minor annoyance that is a roadblock rather than a mountain that needs to be overcome? By focusing your efforts on truly important issues, you can address them more effectively and focus on the Marcus Aurelius principle. Recognize that sometimes being silent can be helpful and that sometimes the best course of action is to let go. According to Marcus Aurelius, it's frequently sufficient to remain silent and let things go. Ignoring little slights or choosing not to engage in meaningless debates can be quite self-controlling strategies to keep your inner peace. The benefit of cost examination of Stoicism: examine the benefits and drawbacks. Every disagreement has a cost in terms of potential consequences and mental effort. The cost of triumph is to weigh the possible emotional benefits of prevailing against the probable costs of losing the argument. Recalling when to give up with dignity is sometimes the purest kind of strength. Strategic battle selection does not indicate indifference or weakness. Understanding how limited your time and energy are and making effective use of them can help you navigate life's battlefield with greater focus and reserve your strength for the important occasions. 3. Speak with calm and clarity. Imagine standing in the eye of a storm, chaos swirling all around, but at your core, there is stillness. This is the essence of Stoic speech, to remain calm and deliberate even when emotions are surging. When we speak during conflict, it's easy to let our words fly like arrows, sharp, fast, and aimed to wound. But the Stoic doesn't speak to destroy. They speak to understand, to bridge, to illuminate. Clarity in communication is the sword and shield of a wise person. Begin by grounding yourself before speaking. Take a deep breath, soften your tone, and choose your words intentionally. As Marcus Aurelius taught, kindness is invincible. This doesn't mean softness is weakness. Rather, it is strength under control. The calm, composed voice is more powerful than the loudest scream. Use I statements to take ownership of your emotions instead of blaming others. Say, I feel disrespected when I'm interrupted, rather than you never listen. This invites understanding instead of defense. Speaking with clarity also means structuring your message. Be specific, don't ramble, and avoid inflammatory language. Let your words be like arrows guided not by anger, but by purpose. Above all, stay firm but not forceful. Do not confuse composure with passivity. Speak with resolve. A Stoic voice does not quiver under pressure. It remains steady, reflecting inner balance. Even if the other person yells, mocks, or provokes, stay rooted. Your calmness is a mirror that reflects their chaos back to them without absorbing it. And in that stillness, you hold the power to steer the conversation toward truth. Effectively, disagreements are common in life, from parking lot fights to political disputes. But as the Stoics teach, only certain obstacles in life demand our whole attention. The second Stoic approach encourages us to carefully select our battles, as emotionally investing in every argument, regardless of its size, can exhaust us. Imagine yourself standing in front of a large battlefield, where every disagreement and point of contention has the potential to turn into a conflict. A wise Stoic would consider each piece of terrain carefully before entering the fray, asking whether the conflict is worthwhile and whether it will impact my health or other important aspects of my life. The following principles of Stoic philosophy will help you choose your battles. Take a moment to reflect on Seneca's insightful remarks. Delay is the best way to deal with rage. Remind yourself of the significance of halting before reacting without thinking. Take a moment to collect yourself, step back, and assess the situation. Generally speaking, it's normal for the heat of the moment to distort our judgment while we're making wise choices. Is the Epictetus question still important, despite the challenges? Ask yourself this important question. Is this debate having a real impact on your morals, well-being, or something important in your life? Or is it just a minor annoyance that is a roadblock rather than a mountain that needs to be overcome? By focusing your efforts on truly important issues, you can address them more effectively and focus on the Marcus Aurelius principle. Recognize that sometimes being silent can be helpful and that sometimes the best course of action is to let go. According to Marcus Aurelius, it's frequently sufficient to remain silent and let things go. Ignoring little slights or choosing not to engage in meaningless debates can be quite self-controlling strategies to keep your inner peace. The benefit of cost examination of Stoicism. Examine the benefits and drawbacks. Every disagreement has a cost in terms of potential consequences and mental effort. The cost of triumph is to weigh the possible emotional benefits of prevailing against the probable costs of losing the argument. Recalling when to give up with dignity is sometimes the purest kind of strength. Strategic battle selection does not indicate indifference or weakness. Understanding how limited your time and energy are and making effective use of them can help you navigate life's battlefield with greater focus and reserve your strength for the important occasions. 4. Seek common ground. Original theme, overlapping communication. Enhanced focus, how to find shared goals and mutual understanding. Now imagine that same storm beginning to clear. The winds settle, the noise fades, and from the fog emerges a shared trail worn by the footsteps of both you and your adversary. This is the path of mutual understanding. The shared path, the Stoic seeks not through dominance, but through dialogue. After speaking with clarity, the next step is to shift from me versus you to us versus the problem. The Stoics understood that even in opposition, we are rarely enemies at the core. Our goals may differ, but beneath the noise are shared values: respect, peace, fairness, truth. It's your task to uncover them, like a philosopher digging beneath the rubble of argument to find the golden thread of connection. Ask open, meaningful questions like what outcome would feel fair to you, or how do we both walk away from this better, not bitter. These aren't tactics to manipulate their invitations. They show the other person you're not here to win a battle, but to build a bridge. Empathy plays a critical role here. View the world through their lens without abandoning your own. You don't have to agree to understand. Maybe you both want to feel heard. Maybe you both crave peace. Find those threads and weave them into a new pattern, something stronger than division. Even if the disagreement remains, you've at least changed the terrain. From battlefield to dialogue table. Remember, compromise isn't surrender, it's strength and flexibility. Like a tree that bends with the wind, you're less likely to break when you can flex without abandoning your roots. True Stoicism isn't about staying rigid, it's about staying rooted, while adapting wisely. By seeking the shared path, you turn conflict into collaboration. You stop reacting from ego and start responding from wisdom. In doing so, you honor both your perspective and there's creating the foundation for lasting peace. 5. Appeal to their inner values before you react. Consider this next insight from Seneca. To be everywhere is to be nowhere, and that includes wandering arguments. Instead, go deeper, speak to what truly guides them. That brings us 2.5. Appeal to their inner values. Sometimes, resolving conflict isn't about refuting someone's logic, it's about connecting with their principles. Every person operates from a moral compass, whether they admit it or not. That compass is shaped by experience, culture, pain, and personal code. The Stoic doesn't aim to manipulate, but to understand, so you can speak to what matters most to them. Think of their values as the deep roots of an old oak tree, strong, immovable. Your job isn't to chop it down, but to show how your idea can grow in the same soil. If someone values fairness, speak in terms of justice. If they seek peace, explain how your perspective supports harmony. Don't try to defeat them. Speak their language. This is the art of reframing. You're not surrendering your beliefs, you're building a bridge between their ideals and your goals. Use real examples. Tell stories that resonate. Appeal to their sense of honor, loyalty, or truth. When people feel their identity is respected, they become far more open to change. And remember, this approach requires humility. You're guiding, not manipulating, influencing, not controlling. The Stoic persuades, not with pressure, but with purpose. 6. Use humor wisely. Once you've appealed to their values, the conversation may begin to thaw. And when the atmosphere softens, you may be tempted to lighten the mood. But tread carefully, because point 6 is about using humor wisely. Imagine walking a tightrope across a deep canyon. Humor is your balancing pole. It can keep you steady or throw you off completely. Seneca himself once said, "It is more fitting for a man to laugh at life than to lament over it." But the Stoic knows that laughter must be used like fire, carefully, and never recklessly. Use humor not to mock others, but to mock yourself. Self-deprecating jokes signal humility, not weakness. They show that you're not clinging to ego, and that you're open to reconciliation. But beware of often masks resentment. Avoid cheap shots, jabs, and any humor that humiliates. The right joke at the right time can dissolve tension. It reminds everyone that we're just human, flawed, fragile, funny. But if you're unsure whether to laugh or hold back, err on the side of silence. Because respect outlasts a punchline. The Stoic doesn't joke to escape discomfort. They use humor to soften the edge of truth without dulling its meaning. 7. Offer empathy. Laughter may open the door, but empathy invites someone to step through it. And that brings us to point 7. Offer empathy. Empathy isn't about fixing the other person, it's about standing beside them, even when you don't fully understand. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself, what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize?" Empathy begins with this question. Imagine someone shouting across a canyon. Unheard, instead of yelling back, the Stoic climbs down into the ravine. They listen, they observe, they acknowledge. Not to agree, but to connect. Say things like, "It sounds like this really matters to you," or "I understand why you feel this way." These are not concessions, they are invitations to deeper dialogue. People lower their defenses when they feel seen. But empathy also means recognizing the unspoken. Look at their body language, tone, and facial expression. Often, the loudest pain is the quietest signal. The Stoic doesn't just hear, they seek to understand, because empathy transforms conflict into compassion. It is not a weakness but a bridge to resolution. 8. Embrace the art of compromise. Once empathy is present, you're no longer on opposite sides, you're standing in the middle, looking for direction. That leads us to point 8. Embrace the art of compromise. Contrary to popular belief, compromise isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. Epictetus taught, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and all will be well." The Stoic knows that rigid branches break in the wind, but the tree that bends survives. Start by identifying shared goals. What values or outcomes do both of you care about? Then, prioritize. Not everything in a conflict is worth fighting over. Which hills are worth defending, and which can be walked around? Find the win-win, or at least, the winning enough. What solution preserves your integrity while addressing their concerns? and understand compromise is rarely final. It's a process, a continued dialogue, a path that evolves with time and clarity. The Stoic doesn't demand perfect resolution, but strives for functional peace. Because in letting go of ego, you make room for something stronger. Progress. 9. Seek external aid, without shame. But what if no compromise comes? What if the conflict feels like a knot too tight to untangle alone? That's where point 9 comes in. Seek external aid without shame. Don't imagine being caught in a thicket, brambles tightening around you. The harder you struggle, the more entangled you become. In such moments, the wisest step is not to pull harder but to ask for help. The Stoics were teachers, mentors, and learners. They valued guidance. Whether it's a counselor, mediator, elder, or neutral third party, sometimes a fresh perspective makes all the difference. This isn't strategy. A mediator doesn't take sides, they hold space. They slow the conversation down, untangle emotion from message, and help both sides feel heard. They can spotlight blind spots, reduce defensiveness, and unlock new solutions. Stoicism isn't about isolation, it's about cooperation. Asking for help shows strength because it means you care enough to solve the issue, not just survive it. 10. Practice forgiveness and once the dust settles, there's one last enemy to face. Resentment. That's where point 10 comes in. Practice forgiveness. Seneca wrote, "He who has injured thee was either stronger or weaker than thee. If weaker, spare him. If stronger, spare thyself." Forgiveness is not about excusing the offense, about unburdening yourself from its weight. Picture dragging a massive boulder uphill. Every grudge, every insult, every injustice. Forgiveness is the moment you choose to drop it. Not to forget, not to condone, but to free yourself. Start by shifting focus from them to you. How is the anger affecting your peace, your health, your clarity? Then, expand your perspective. Maybe they acted from fear. Maybe they were repeating patterns of pain they never learned to break. Forgiveness doesn't require contact, it requires courage. It is a gift you give yourself, not a favor to your enemy. When you forgive, you reclaim your freedom. 11. Grow from the ashes of conflict. Forgiveness clears the soil, and in that fertile ground, you can grow. That brings us to point 11. Grow from the ashes of conflict. Like the phoenix, rebirth follows fire. Every conflict reveals something about your triggers, your boundaries, your beliefs. The Stoic doesn't waste pain, they study it. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? Where did I falter? What virtues did I forget? What habits do I now see more clearly? This is how you convert turmoil into teaching. Then take action. Whether it's improving your communication, tempering your reactivity, or strengthening your values, commit to the lesson. Conflict becomes a catalyst, not a curse, because in every disagreement lies a doorway, not just to resolution but to evolution. 12. Set boundaries and once you've grown, you must protect that growth. Enter point 12. Set boundaries. Imagine a lighthouse on a rocky shore. It doesn't chase storms, it stands firm, casting light, guiding others while protecting its own space. That's what boundaries do. Identify what you can and cannot tolerate, what drains your energy, what crosses your lines. Communicate those limits with calm conviction. Use I statements. I need space when ... or I'm not comfortable with ... Be clear, be kind, be consistent. Some will resist, others will test you. But your peace is not up for negotiation. The Stoic isn't rude, they're resolute. They don't build walls, they draw maps. And every boundary you set is a line of honor, not just for you, but for your relationships. 13. Remember, you control your reactions at last. We arrive at the final lesson, the foundation of them all. Point 13. You control your reactions. Imagine standing in a violent storm. You can't stop the rain. You can't control the wind, but you can choose your stance, your breath, your next step. That is power. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The Stoic is not numb, they are disciplined. They feel but they choose their response. Begin by recognizing your triggers. Pause before you respond. Ask, is this worth my peace? Shift your views, see problems as puzzles, not threats. Choose your reaction. Don't inherit it, because when you master your reaction, you master the moment. And when you master enough moments, you master your life. You've just learned 13 powerful Stoic tools, not for controlling others, but for mastering yourself. Remember, real strength isn't loud, it's calm, it's patient, it's disciplined. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. So the next time conflict rises, don't aim to win, aim to understand. Choose poise over pride, wisdom over reaction. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who needs that stillness. And subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every week. Stay grounded, stay guided, stay Stoic.